So I think the role of universities in societies is changing. There is a current tendency towards evaluating universities purely in terms of the tangible employability, ambition, individual prospects, and perhaps what gets lost in some of that is the elements of character, good citizenship, the original purposes of providing good liberal arts education to most people.
I mean, I often go back to in speeches and so on to the foundation of universities in the Middle Ages, 500 or so years ago, and in the land grant universities particularly in the United States. The principles of the establishment of those universities, setting aside the religious base for some of them, particularly within England, to me the core need that the university meets hasn't changed over that time, and I don't think it's really going to change now. Tools change. You know, when I was growing up, I'm tempted to say we used to have abacus as our calculator, and pens and pencils, and some would say quills. We have computers, we have laptops, we have mobile technology, entirely different ways of communicating. They're all tools. They don't change the fundamental role of a university in transferring knowledge to the individual, transferring knowledge to the communities that they operate within, and serving those communities either by producing good, strong graduates or good, strong research that informs and makes society a better place. That will never change. Structures of universities may change, the tools we use may change, but the core principles of what a university is for, I don't think does change over time.
Do I think the role of universities in society is changing? Yes, I think inevitably. I think that it's very interesting how many of the civic universities located for a long time in urban areas, in towns and cities, have actually rediscovering that it's important for them to re-express their roots of origin and think about the way in which they are both regional, local and international. And it's not easy to pull off. I think society is taking more interest in universities than it has done for a very long time. The student voice is much louder. We know that the government wants to make it even louder still, but I think research as well is expected to make a greater immediate contribution to society than perhaps people have thought it has done in the past. Now, there are real problems with that because a lot of research, curiosity-led, doesn't have any defined objectives when it starts off. But actually, nonetheless, I think that some universities, if they're honest with themselves, and I've worked for some who have been, actually recognise that translation of research ideas to the benefit of society is something that they need to focus on rather more. And of course, the government has introduced many a regime really, and a regulatory regime and ways of actually trying to stimulate that further. I think we need to be careful, however, that we don't expect all research to be applied immediately. There does still need to be space for blue skies thinking, curiosity-led research, which ultimately does, and there are many examples, lead to remarkable breakthroughs actually for human health or for betterment of society, or things which actually people take now for granted in their everyday lives, which came out of universities.
I think the role of universities in society, I don't think it has changed from the perspective of what governments and the state has wanted universities to do for centuries. It's always wanted universities to drive change, to be questioning, to be autonomous in the way they deal with the creation of knowledge in order to be drivers for the economy, the drivers for social change. I think governments and the state has always wanted that. It's the university's reaction and response to it that's had to change. So I'm more on the side of universities now finding their place and their importance being fully recognised both by the government and by the universities themselves.